Hi guys, welcome to The Delicate Flower. My name is Pam and I'm a social worker and a therapist in training based here in the UK. I make content around mental health, coping strategies, recovery, and I also offer lots of free resources to help you on your recovery journey. So if you're interested in content around mental health, resources, coping strategies, self-care, self-compassion, all that good stuff, then press the subscribe button, like this video, and let's get started. So as you can tell by the title of this video today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to help children cope better with grief. Now, when it comes to the subject of death and grief, it's very hard for us as adults to navigate our head around. So it's no surprise that we struggle when it comes to talking to children about grief. We don't know what to say. We get very anxious. We don't want to worry them. We don't want to scare them. We feel like the topic is too big for them to understand, and all these different ideas that we have around, talking to children. But I'm hoping today in this video to share with you 3 creative activities to help make these conversations a bit more child friendly, a bit more easier, a bit more honest, and also just to provide a safe space for them to ask questions and hopefully share with you how they feel in order to help them with their grieving process. But before we even get into that, I want to talk to you about 3 key things to avoid when talking to children about death. So the first thing to avoid is lying, guys. I cannot stress this enough. Please, 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 girl, sis, whatever you want me to call you, okay? Do not lie to that child about death. Don't tell the child that this person is asleep. Don't say that they've moved to a different country. Don't say that they've gone missing. All these I have heard some crazy lies that caregivers tell children or, their child or their loved one about the person who has died. But guys, when you lie, it just confuses a child even more. Kids are not silly. They hear all the different chatters that you're having with your friends. They hear the people crying. They piece what happens is that when you lie to a child, often at times they suspect you're not telling them the truth. And when they feel confused, they end up going to the internet looking for answers, or their imagination tends to fill in the gaps to try and create a narrative about what has happened. And often at times, the narrative that their imagination comes up with is much more scarier than what has happened. So stop lying to the children. Tell them the truth. Use honest language, be very practical with it. So one of the things that you may say is that, this person has died, and it means that you're never going to see them again. It means that they can't eat, they can't sing with you anymore, you can't go to the park with them anymore. Be very practical, basically. All the things that a person who is still alive can do, that a dead person can't. Say that to a child, especially when it comes to younger children. They need you to be very black and white with it. They need you to be very blunt with it, but use words that are, again, child friendly, but do not lie to them about death. The second mistake that I see a lot of adults doing is overloading children with information, oversharing and overloading. I've just talked about simplicity and being honest, but do not overload. They do not need to know every single detail about the person who has died, about the funeral, about how the person was found, about the fact that they stopped talking and then they were in hospital and the nurses were crying. You are just going to create so much. I feel anxious just saying all of that. So imagine how a child feels. Children do not need to be overloaded with information. Do not overshare, but rather what you should consider doing is giving them information in stages. So at the first stage, you may share with them that this person has died. So it means that you can't see them again. It means that they can't talk. All the things that I shared in the first step. Give them time to process it. And sometimes children actually come back to you for more information because they have questions after they process these things. But even if they don't come back to you, once you know your child and you know perhaps how they took that or how sensitive they are to certain information, you can make a judgment call if they need to know more information. If they do, you can start telling them about the funeral process. We're going to be going to something known as a funeral. Auntie's going to be there, friends are going to be there, people are going to be wearing black, people will be sad, they will be crying because they've missed this person. It's okay if you feel sad on the day too. Give them bits of information at a time, but guys, do not overload them or overshare because it just brings about so much anxiety. So the third and final mistake that I see a lot of caregivers make is protecting their emotions and keeping their emotions to themselves. And a lot of caregivers do this because they don't want to upset the children. But actually, when you don't cry in front of the children, when you don't express how upset you are or how much you miss the person, what that does is that it communicates to the children that they can't cry. But when you cry, when you share how much you miss the person, don't overload, just enough, cry, perhaps say how much you've missed the person, share how sad you are once in a while. What that does is that it communicates that they can also cry and share. It gives them permission to grieve. It gives them permission to openly express themselves and openly express how much they miss the person. But when you hold your emotions to yourself, I've met some families who just don't even talk about the person who's died at all. The grief happened, the bereavement happened, and they just get into routine. They carry on with their normal lives as if nothing has ever happened. Do not do this. It's okay to cry in front of the kids. It's okay to share that you feel sad in front of the kids, because again, this gives them permission to do the same. So now that you know the three things, yeah, I thought I had four fingers up there. The three things to avoid, let's get straight into the three creative activities to help make conversations with children around death a bit more easier. So the first creative activity to consider doing with a grieving child is known as a salt jar. Now these are very great because they're very creative, they're very colorful, they're very, playful, and they also work really, really well with children who may have sensory needs. So all you're going to need is you're going to need a jar, you're going to need some scissors, you're going to need a label, you're going to need a string, you're going to need some salt, and you're also going to need some chalk, different colored chalk. The idea behind this is to encourage children to have open conversations around the person who has died by sharing their memories about the person who has died. So as you're sat in a room with a child or with many children, you could start talking about the person who has died, and you can encourage the child to talk about the favorite memory of the person. So the child may say, my favorite memory of grandma was when we went to the beach because we had ice cream and she wore this lovely dress, and share all these great memories. And you, as the adult navigating and facilitating this activity, may say to the child, so what color do you think represents that day, that memory you've just shared? The child may then say blue because the water was blue. So you just pour some salt on a piece of paper and allow the child to color in this salt with the chalk, and once they color it in, they pour it with the jar. You talk about different memory, you do the same, and when you're done, you should have a very, very colorful jar that looks something like this. I'm going to post a link right up here or here. A colorful jar that looks like this. Label it by putting what each color represents, and this is something that the child can have with them, in their bedroom, in a communal space. And this is something that encourages conversation every time they feel sad or want to talk about the person who has died. The second activity I'd like to share with you is known as a memory bracelet. Now these are great because these are things that the child or the children can carry with them everywhere they go. Much similar to the salt jar, this is about discussing memories about the person who has died. You can have different colored beads of different shapes, different sizes, and all you need is a string and some beads and a scissors. Again, once the child talks about these memories about the person who has died, all you do is encourage them to pick a bead that represent that memory. And as they talk about these memories, they pick the beads, they put it on the string and make a lovely bracelet. Now, as I said earlier, these are great because they can keep them on them everywhere they go. They can wear it to school, they can wear it when they're out playing with your friends, and this is almost like a keepsake thing that they can keep with them to help them keep the memories of the person who has died. So the third and final activity I'd like to share with you guys is a memory box. Now I know this is an activity that you probably know about, but these are great because you can also keep in there self-care items that the child can help soothe themselves in those moments that they're struggling. Again, if you don't have a fancy box, you don't even need one. You can just use a shoe box. This is why it's so great. You can use just any shoe box or any box that you find at home. Help the child decorate it with glitter, with tags, with initials, all these fancy stuff. And in that box, you can put some pictures, some t-shirts, the favorite necklace of the person who's died, so many different things, alongside some self-care things as well, like maybe their favorite chocolate, maybe, a list of different activities that helps them, make them feel better or put them in a good mood, and all these things. So when they are missing the person, you as a caregiver can bring this box out You discuss the content in it, you talk about the memories about the person, and they can even pick a self-care activity in the books that they want to do to help soothe them and keep them safe and keep them calm. So guys, I hope you found watching this video useful. I hope you found the tips that I shared in there insightful and something that you're open to try with a grieving child. I would love to know what your thoughts are, so please leave some comments down below. Anything that you have tried that has helped you support a grieving child, I would love to know, and it would be great to start building a community of resources to help ourselves. So please leave these things in the comment box below. Like this video, subscribe to this video, and thank you again for watching.